Hello, my name is Angela Broaddus, and I am a 5th grade science teacher here in Maryland. And today's video is part 2 on how to create an interactive and engaging 5E science lesson using Google Slides and Nearpod. So let's go ahead and jump straight into the video. So in part 1, I walked you through a preview of my 5E science lesson, and I took the time to explain each slide and the different activities that I did within each section of my 5E lesson. And for those of you guys who may not be familiar with a 5E lesson, the 5 E's to a 5E lesson are engagement, exploration, explanation, elaboration, and evaluation. And today what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I added different Nearpod activities to my Google Slides. So the very first thing that you're going to do is go to add-ons if you already don't have the Nearpod add-on, and you're going to click on Get Add-ons. When you select Get Add-ons, you're going to go ahead and type in Nearpod, and then you will select on Nearpod and go ahead and install it. If you are a Prince George's County teacher, use your PGCPS email to sign into Nearpod. If you teach in any other school district, make sure to use your school district email. So I'm going to be toggling between this demo slide and my actual slides so that I can remember what activities I'm adding to the demo. So our first activity that we're adding is this poll. So I add my poll after the Zoom expectation slide. I'm going to go ahead and open my Nearpod. So Nearpod is open, and so what I'm going to do now is select on poll. And what is going to happen is that it's going to add this slide within my Google Slides. So my first question is, how are you feeling this morning? I'm going to add a timer. I'm going to give students 30 seconds to respond, although I think 30 seconds is too long. We will see how things go on day 1, and then we will adjust accordingly. So I'm going to select add, and then I'm going to come here. I want to add a picture of different emojis. So I'm going to type in feeling, and I'm going to select this one. And then I'm going to provide different answer choices. So happy, sad, worried, excited, angry, I'm not sure. And then I'm going to go ahead and select save. And if you're confused as to why I'm adding that poll to my Google Slides, you can go ahead and refer to part 1 because I explain the breakdown of why I add that poll at the start of each of my lessons. The next slide I'm going to add is an open-ended question. And it's going to say, if you don't feel excited or happy, why do you currently feel the way you feel? If you feel happy or excited, just type N/A. And I would explain to my students that N/A means not applicable. And I would give my students 45 seconds to respond because I don't want to assume that all students can type fast enough to respond in 30 seconds. So we will give them an additional 15 seconds. And then I'm going to add a picture. And we will add this stink guy right there. And then we will click save. So that is how you add a poll and an open-ended question. So the next slide that we are adding is our phenomena slide. So right after our engagement exploration title slide, we're going to add an open-ended question about phenomena. So what do you think a phenomenon is? So as a reminder, in Prince George's County, all our science lessons are based on the next generation science standards, and we take a phenomenon-based approach in providing science instruction. Hence why I'm including this question. I'm going to add a timer. We're going to give students 30 seconds. Add, and then I'm going to add a picture of students thinking, or a question mark. Go with this one. And select Save. Alrighty. The next slide that we're adding in is another open-ended question. So after this slide is where I want my open-ended question. So I'm going to click on the slide and then select open-ended question. Compare and contrast the two phenomena. Mention at least one similarity and one difference. I'm going to add a timer. I'll set it for 45 seconds. I'm going to add an image. And I have an image already in my Google Drive. So the way I created this image that you're about to see me attach, it's from, I essentially added 2 pictures to a Google slide, and then I took a screenshot of that slide, and that's the picture that I'm about to upload. And then I'm going to click Save. I have one more activity for my engagement and exploration section. And it is right here. So it's going to be a fill in the blank. So if I scroll to the top, I select fill in the blanks. I'm going to select a style. We're going to keep it simple for right now. And then I'm going to go ahead and type in each of my fill in the blank options. So if I come here, actually, let's go back to, I'm previewing the slides in Nearpod again so I could easily type my sentences. So the top of a wave is called And one thing you're going to notice, after I write crest, I'm going to hit a space and put a period. You'll see why in a moment. I'll leave an example where I don't hit space before the period and where I do hit space before the period. The bottom of a wave. All right, I'm only going to use 2 examples for now because it's going to take some time. So now you're going to click on Next, and then it says click words on the right to add to the word bank. So I want crest to be a word I add to the word bank, and top to be a word I add to the word bank. I want bottom to be a word I add to the word bank, and trough. Now look what happens when I select trough. When I select trough, it also includes the period, and that gives the students a clue as to where it will go in the sentences if they're paying attention. So that's the reason why I hit space right before the period. So I'm going to go ahead and select done. And let's say I was done with everything. Let me show you what it's going to look like in Nearpod. So what you're going to do now is go ahead and select on Save and go to Nearpod. And if you haven't done so already, when you select Save and go to Nearpod, it may prompt you to type in your username, your email address again, and your password, possibly, if I'm remembering correctly. So let's preview what we have so far. So here we have our poll. Here we have our open-ended question. Our lesson objective, class schedule. Here we have our other open-ended question. And then we have our other open-ended question. So far we have everything that we wanted to see so far. So let's go back into our demo and continue adding the other components to our 5E science lesson. So our next slide in our explanation and elaboration section is to add a PDF of the HMH Science Dimension textbook for the students. So in order to do that, what you need to do is scroll down. So one thing to note is when you do come out of your Google Slides and you want to edit the slides again and add on additional Nearpod components, you will need to select Edit this lesson in order to go back and add either more activities or to edit activities that were already placed in the lesson, and so on and so forth. So in order to add a PDF of the textbook, I need to select PDF Viewer. And once you select PDF Viewer, the easiest thing that I would say is that you can either access the PDF file by uploading the file from your computer, or I like to upload the files into my Google Drive and then access my files that way. So I know the title is What Are Waves? What are waves? And voila, just select the PDF and then click on Select. And just like that, we now have the PDF within our slides. So let's see what the next add-on is. Let's see what the next activity is. So the next activity that we're going to add is our PhET simulation, or our virtual simulation. And that gets added right before the evaluation. So either I can click on the slide before my evaluation, which is slide 20, or I can click right in between slide 20 and slide 21. It depends on your preference. So if I scroll down, I'm going to select PhET simulation, and then I'm going to come under categories and select Science Elementary School. And then I'm going to scroll down until I can find the virtual simulation I would like to incorporate, which is the wave on a string. I click on it and then I select Done. And that is how you add the PhET simulation. So the next slide that we add is, the next two slides that we add are actually within the evaluation. So the first activity is the open-ended question. That's our part 1 to our evaluation. And I'm actually going to go into the Nearpod lesson so I can see the exact wording. So based on what we have reviewed so far on waves, I'm wanting to draw a model. Let's see if it's going to let me copy it. Awesome, it let me copy it, perfect. I have my text of what I want my students to do. So they're going to draw a model of the wave and label the different components of a wave. I will add a timer. I told my students they will get 90 seconds, so 1 minute and 30 seconds. And of course, they may need more time than that. Knowing my students, they will need more time than that, especially when it comes to actually drawing it and labeling the different parts. So I'll go ahead and adjust the timing later. For right now, I'm just going to leave it as it is. I'm going to add an image, and I'm going to add an image of a wave. And I'm going to add this one. And then we select save. The last part of our evaluation is the time to climb, which is a very fun, interactive activity that the students love. So I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to select on time to climb. In my original time to climb, there's 4 questions. I just want to show you guys the gist of how to create your questions, and then we're going to move on from there. So I'm going to go back to my Nearpod lesson. I'm going to copy my question. And I always add a picture for each question. So I Google sound waves. I will add this one. And then I'll provide the different answer choices. And one thing you're going to notice about time to climb is that I'm using the same exact questions that I used earlier on under the engagement and exploration section when the students were doing the fill in the blank. So it's the same exact questions, because now they should have a better understanding and grasp of the different wave components and what wavelength is and what amplitude is, and so on and so forth. So we go ahead and type in the answer choices. So let me see. So we go ahead, we type in all the answer choices. If you wanted to add another answer, like you see, you just select add answer. So you can only add 4 answer choices. So once you add in all your answer choices, you select the correct answer. If you wanted to add an additional question, you would just select add question. And now I'm going to go ahead and select the answer choice. And then for now, I'm just going to have these 2 questions, and then I'm going to go ahead and select save. But once again, if you wanted to add additional questions, all you would do is select add question. So go ahead and select save. And I believe those are all the Nearpod activities that I added to this Google Slide lesson. Yes, it is. So now what I do, once I've added all my activities, I'm going to go ahead and select on save and go to Nearpod. And once again, when you select on this button, it will save your presentation and it will take you to Nearpod. And when you're in Nearpod, you'll see that your slides are saving and it will update all your slides accordingly. And I'm going to go ahead and wait until it's done saving. Some of you guys might be wondering, okay, Angela, I added all these Nearpod activities to my lesson. How can I access the data and the students' responses from all these activities? Well, all that you would have to do is select on reports, and then you would essentially search for the report for your Nearpod lesson. So let me show you an example of what a report may look like. So if I click on this session with 3 students, results, that the student had no answer or recorded no answer. So this person recorded no answer. It will show me the model, the fill in the blanks, how people did, or if they didn't complete it at all whatsoever. So that concludes how to create an interactive and engaging 5E science lesson in Google Slides and Nearpod. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, please feel free to like this video. Also, please make sure to subscribe so that you are kept up to date with upcoming videos. I hope you have an amazing and blessed day.